Hello guys, so I'm super excited to be sat down and finally filming my kitchen renovation video. Now if you guys follow me on Instagram you might have seen a little bit of updates from this, but to give you a bit of background if you haven't been here forever, we moved into the house that we live in at the moment 3 years ago, and it is hopefully, if you know nothing changes, it will be our forever home. It is where we would like to live forever. So everything that we've been doing to this house we've been doing with that in mind, which is obviously slightly different to if you know that you're going to sell somewhere and move on at some point. We are waiting and saving until we can do the exact things that we want to do to the house. So the kitchen was probably the biggest project when we moved in here. It was actually, like, I don't know if you guys remember the kitchen from vlogs and things like that. I'll put in some pictures here. The kitchen itself was really nice. It looked really nice. It's very classic and very neutral in a way. It was a white or cream painted kitchen with dark worktops. However, the kitchen itself was actually really old, and when we came to pull it apart we actually discovered how badly it was made as well, which was, like, considering it looked amazing on the outside, was pretty shocking underneath. And we also wanted to change the layout, modernise it, modernise the appliances, and all of that stuff. So we kind of knew we wanted to do it. We didn't know we wanted to do it now, however. Mike, typical Mike, doesn't kind of appreciate how much like back work goes into doing a project like a kitchen, so he was like, let's do it straight away, and I was like, no, let's stay here for 5 years and then let's do it. We ended up doing it at 3 years, so I feel like it was a good compromise. In terms of what we did, you guys will see the finished walkthrough at the end. It's going to be a long video because that section itself is almost 20 minutes long anyway. But what we were dealing with before, like I wanted to get across in this video, it's really difficult, like our kitchen wasn't awful before. I'm not trying to say that, and I'm not trying to show off in any way by talking about our new kitchen and things in our new kitchen. This video was very, very much requested, and I know a lot of you guys love when we do the before and after renovations, because I've done a lot of them over the past probably 7 years since we moved into our previous house. There was a lot of work to be done in that house as well, so I did a lot of renovation videos there. Some of you might remember my previous kitchen before and after video. I'm very very much aware of like different budgets and different situations for different people. Our last kitchen was a completely different scenario because we actually didn't even have a new kitchen at all. We painted the existing units, whereas this one has been very much rip the whole thing out and start again, because for us this is like a long-term kitchen. We're hoping that this kitchen is going to be with us for the majority of our lives. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you a little clip of the first day that you'll have seen some of the pictures coming up here, but I'm going to show you a little clip of the first day that we started work and what it looked like once the floor was down, when it was completely empty, and then I'm going to do the full-on reveal of what it looks like now, which will obviously come as no surprise. A lot of you have seen like the background, but I go into greater detail of where things are from and why we chose it and things like that. As per usual, to make things easier, I'll put a list down below of where everything was sourced and suppliers and things like that, if you are wanting to know that information. I will also put whether anything was gifted, because a couple of bits of furniture were gifted to us as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this footage is taken from the morning that we started renovation. I'm actually filming this as a voiceover afterwards because I wasn't talking at the time. But what you can see is the kitchen still in place, the floor ripped up, which actually I mostly did myself. And what you can't hear is the audio of the builders ripping the pantry out next door, which is super loud, hence the voiceover. But as you can see, it started to change very, very, very quickly. But this is just to show you what the kitchen really looked like before we started any work. So it's the end of the first day. And we've got a very big empty space. They've actually, I can't believe how quickly they broke everything down. But yeah, this is what we're dealing with. Water on the floor from the dishwasher when they pulled it out. But yeah, got a lot of wires, pipes, water pipes, gas pipes, everything that's got to get sorted out before the new kitchen goes in and before the new floor goes down.
because the island looks tiny now. Look at that space that used to be the island. It looks like teeny tiny compared to the rest of the floor. Yeah, so all that's moving. Mental. So mental. Yeah. What a difference a day makes.
Okay guys, so 4 months later, it didn't actually take us 4 months, but it is 4 months later now. This is what we have in the kitchen. I know a lot of you guys will have seen this on Instagram or seen bits of it on Instagram, probably not so much this end of the room yet because it's not quite finished. But the table finally arrived last week, or a couple of weeks ago now actually, and I wanted to film this video now because I think it really is a good point to do it. But I'm still obviously like not quite done in terms of add-ons and like things on the walls and things to make it homely. Those aren't necessarily there yet, but the bare bones of the kitchen and everything's obviously in here, and we've been living in it for a few months. As a disclaimer, it's not usually this tidy. We have 3 dogs, 2 cats and a toddler. It's normally a mess. I have tidied up for this video, so please don't think that this is my life. It is certainly not. It's normally full of stuff. So I'm going to start with the kitchen end, and as you walk in, so one of our main things that we really wanted to do in this kitchen was create more of a kind of single space and bring it together. Before, it was quite divided off into one side being kitchen and the other side being like a living dining area. So we really wanted to get rid of the peninsula that came across here and put in a bigger island and really have the island as the focus of the kitchen as well. We wanted a breakfast bar, which we have never had a proper one before. We've kind of always pushed stools up to where there's not a recess for your knees, so it never quite works, whereas now we've got a beautiful long breakfast bar. The other thing that we added were plugs at either end with USBs so that we can have, not that we're using them right now because they look like a mess when there's tons of cables, but we can basically sit and work at the breakfast bar, chat whilst the other one is cooking, or sit with River, you know, just, you know what a breakfast bar is for anyway. So I'm going to list everything down in the description box below this video where everything's from, and basically suppliers and things like that, so you guys can have access to that as well if you are looking at redoing your kitchen, or if this is just inspiration, then kind of ignore that. But the kitchen itself was made by a company called Martin Moore, which we found in London, but they have showrooms everywhere, and they're actually based up in Cheshire, I believe. And we decided to go for this beautiful dark blue paint, which is stunning, but let me tell you, it shows up every single piece of dust mark when the light hits it, because at the moment we actually have no curtains on the windows, as you guys can see. When the light hits it, it shows up everything. It's Farrow and Ball railings, but I really love it. So that's what we decided to go for colour. For hardware, we actually went nickel. Now, I know that it's most popular to go for brass with this kind of colour, with the navy blues at the moment. However, we thought that is potentially a bit more of a trend. We want this kitchen to be a long-term thing and not have to change it. So I thought nickel was probably a bit more of a bit less trendy of a choice. And then for worktops, we went for different kinds of worktops for the island. So we had granite on the island, and this piece of granite really is incredible. It's really hard to see on camera actually how beautiful it is, and you need to kind of like stand above it and take all the stuff off, but it really is stunning. And we actually got the table made out of the same type of granite, obviously not the same sheet, because that was a whole sheet for the island. But we got the table made out of the same stuff. I absolutely love it. I think the colours in it just really complement the colours of the kitchen. I was super happy with that. So the table we finished off with like a little bit of a edging, which we didn't do for the worktops. And then on the rest of the worktops, we went for marble. There's a join here because this run is super long. And so many people told us, don't go for marble, it scratches, it stains. We actually got one that's been treated, The splashback is marble as well, with a zero care, it's called. Hopefully it's going to last us. So far we haven't had any problems with staining at all. We're very careful with it, as these things either side of the oven would suggest. We basically got these to protect it from kind of pans and splashing and tomato sauce, things like that. But we are careful with it. We do wipe it if we spill anything on it. We have had a few scratches, but apart from that, it's been good, and it actually worked out cheaper to get real stone directly through a stone supplier than it did to get the quartz, or like reconstituted fake stone essentially, through the kitchen company, because they put quite a big markup on stuff like that, and in general kitchen companies do. So that's something that I'd be aware of, regardless of whether you're going for real stone or not. I would definitely recommend looking at sourcing it yourself, because it worked out a whole lot cheaper. In terms of layout, we also have this kind of chimney section was built out of wood with the kitchen itself. So I don't know if you guys remember before, but we had a similar kind of setup, but it was much, much smaller. And this really helps to give the kitchen like a real sense of like grandeur. Like, it's very, very tall and big. It makes you feel like a little elf cooking, but I really love that. I really wanted it to look quite strong. It's a big space, so we could do that as well, which I was really happy about, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out. In terms of the interior of the cupboards, we went for like a walnut effect. For the big cupboards, it's not solid wood, but I'm thinking what's in here. Oh, tea towels. I'll show you in here. But the actual drawers are solid wood, and I think it just looks so nice, the dark wood with the dark blue paint as well. And in this cupboard, these are kind of like dress show cupboards really. We have one either side. This cupboard is the one that I'm the happiest with, because we have these vintage scales. I actually bought these from an antique fair, supposed to go on one of these shelves, but they're actually too deep, but they work really nicely there. And then we have all of our like dried foods and like rice and pasta and stuff up there. And people laugh when they see this. People have been like, when are you ever going to use this stuff? We use this stuff all the time. It's like pasta, rice, pine nuts, things like that. Yeah, so we do actually use those as well. And then on the other side, I haven't quite finished this yet, so let me know if you guys have any ideas for here, because at the moment it's going to close itself because there's too many coats on this door. Real life is creeping in, guys. There's the back of the door. Yeah, so at the moment it looks like that, which I'm not overly like mad on. Obviously the NutriBullet and the SodaStream like don't look fantastic either, but this one rarely gets left open because of all the coats on the door, and it's just easier to have that shut. But I really like leaving that one open, and we use the stuff in there a lot as well. So yeah, that is the layout here. And then obviously we have this big shelf at the back, which is kind of like a display shelf, which is actually really useful for keeping bits and bobs on as well, cookbooks and things like that. And then oven wise, we got rid of the Arga, although this is kind of ironic, isn't it? Let's get rid of the Arga tea towel. And we went for a wolf range, which I have to say, when we were initially looking, this was like our dream to have a wolf, but price wise it was way out of our budget. But we actually ended up getting X display ones for both the oven and the fridge, which made it much more affordable. So this is X display, but you would never know. It's like in perfect condition. Yeah, we got that through our kitchen company, in case you're wondering. So we went for this, which has the massive double electric ovens, and then the gas worktops. Not worktops, hot gas tops. You can tell I've been talking too much about worktops. And then we also have the like teppanyaki plate there, and we have the grill as well. We haven't actually used these yet. Is that shameful? I mean, yes, probably. The last couple of months have been super busy. So we've just been quick cooking, but yeah, I'm so happy with this, and so far we're absolutely loving it. A lot of people are asking about changing from an Arga to like gas and electric. To be honest, for us, we love it. A lot of the like older members of our family are like, why would you do that, blah blah blah. The Argas are so warm that we haven't had any issues with this room being cold at all. It's got a lot of windows, it's a big room, so I'm super happy we made the decision to change. to that, and we're loving it so far. And then, oh, the floor, I haven't spoken about the floor yet, actually. So previously the floor was Amtico, which is kind of an acrylic linoleum type thing, which looked like wood. It was actually pretty convincing, but it was old. It had been down for, I think, about 30 years, and it was getting very worn. It was stained where the hot pipes went underneath it, things like that. We wanted to put down a much more classic, old-fashioned kitchen floor, and we went for this limestone flagstone. We actually got this from Floors of Stone, which I would 100% recommend looking at. If you're looking at floors, we went back and forth so much looking at floors, I can't even tell you, and the grout color and all of that. We were like so undecided. We looked at so many that weren't quite right, and it got to the point where it was crunch time to decide, and I was panicking, and I'm so glad I went for this one. And it ended up being one of the most affordable choices as well per square meter. The tiler said it was absolutely back-breaking to put in because the tiles are so heavy, but I'm super happy with it. And it doesn't quite show up in camera, like on camera, as nicely as it does in real life. It has a beautiful texture. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this really. It has a really, really nice, like, natural texture to it. It's looking quite shiny. It's not very shiny in real life, but yeah, love the floor. So happy with that. The fridge freezer unit, the beast. It is a beast. This, again, was like an absolute dream for us to have. We didn't have the freezer in here before. We didn't have a wine fridge, definitely not. It's so extra, but oh my God, it's like the dream. The dream. We were kind of worried when we picked this massive fridge freezer setup that it was going to be too imposing on the room, but actually, it works really well. The way we've done it, that we kind of built in, the kitchen company, not we, I wasn't involved, but I was involved in choosing it, obviously. We kind of built it into the room in this kind of unit, and we obviously have these beams on the ceiling that are slightly difficult in terms of doing things like this, so we kind of built it into them, and I think it really works. We also added these little cubby holes on the side with lighting, which I'm really happy we did. I was unsure about initially, but I was concerned about when you walk through the door that you had this like massive unit in the way, and it was quite imposing, but getting rid of that helped to get rid of that effect. And also we're gonna put artwork in these. I've ordered some and it hasn't come yet, so there's 3 on that side, 3 on the other. But yeah, so that's the fridge freezer. Pretty extra, enormous fridges and freezers. Let's have a look in the freezer. It's actually quite full, to be fair, at the moment. It's actually quite full. But yeah, it's kind of MTV Cribs style for you there. The breakfast bar. Now, this was another thing that I was unsure about whether would go because of this unit. I thought they were potentially too close together, but actually it works really well. There's a dog water bowl in the middle. And this is actually so nice because it means that we have all of our breakfast stuff right next to the kitchen table. Coffee machine, we've got our toaster, the microwave. I actually did want to get an inbuilt coffee machine in here, but we had only just bought this one, and it's a really good bean to cup coffee machine. And the coffee machines that fit into these units are all Nespresso capsules, and I really didn't want to go back to Nespresso capsules. Both from a coffee point of view, but also from a sustainability point of view, that you're using up all of those capsules. Although apparently they're bringing in biodegradable ones this year. We shall see. Anyway, we couldn't have a built-in one because it wasn't deep enough. So this is kind of how it ended up working. And also we've had to put this diagonally because the coffee machine is too deep. There we go. It works for the moment, and we've got all our syrups and cereals and everything, and glasses and mugs and stuff. So this is the breakfast bar unit. Most of the time it's open. Obviously it has lights in it that these are operated when you open the doors, so it basically gets closed at night. And apart from that, or I guess we probably would close it if we were having like a dinner party or something, but most of the time, day to day, it is open, but that's what it looks like. And I really like it. I think it's so nice. And again, you can see the dark wood through the glass doors on either end, which help to kind of break it up. Then the table, the light fittings as well, I haven't spoken about. This one above the table is from a company called Charles Edwards.
They do the most incredible light fittings, but quite honestly, they are very, very expensive, overpriced in my opinion, and the customer service wasn't fantastic that I received. But I do love this light. I think it needed to be a little bit longer, and the electrician kind of messed up and cut the cord before when I wasn't here. That was the one thing that went wrong. There was 2 things that went wrong, but that was one of them. But it's okay. It's okay. It's not too low. It was supposed to be. It's not too high. It was supposed to be a little bit lower. But yeah. So that's where that one's from. These ones, on the other hand, are from a company called Vaughan. Still quite pricey in terms of light fittings, but they are so beautifully made. Customer service was brilliant. Whole experience with them was brilliant from start to finish, and they look gorgeous in place. This was a bit of a tricky one again because of the beams, and we wanted to try and kind of lower the impact of having these beams on the ceiling. So what we did was choose these, and they actually go, I don't know if you can see from here, but they actually sit underneath the beam rather than being in the kind of recess, and it helps to kind of widen that section a little bit, which works really nicely. Super happy, super happy with the lighting in general. Oh, the dining chairs are from Soho Home, in case you're wondering. I got them in the Black Friday sale. And then moving on to this end of the room. This is completely like unfinished. One thing that I do love are the sofas. The sofas are from sofa.com. Treacle's just been lying on there, so it's looking a bit dirty. They have washable covers. Why? This is the wrong way around. This is the thing. When you have little ones, nothing is ever the right way up. So yeah, the sofas, they have washable covers because we have dogs. We've washed them already, and they didn't come out exactly how they were before. So they were a little bit more like tealy before. They've gone a little bit lighter, I think, in the wash. But for us, it's a no-brainer. Like, we have to have washable sofas because we can't not, basically, because the dogs, unless we shut the dogs away all the time, which is just not fair. So yeah, these are from sofa.com. Absolutely love them. They are the most comfortable, most comfortable sofas out there. They're called the Otto, I believe. The poof is from Graham and Green a couple of years ago, which was previously in River's bedroom. And we moved it down here because she got a teepee for her birthday, and it took up the space that it was in her bedroom. So I actually really like it down here. I kind of wanted a coffee table, but I'm not sure what's going to happen in terms of that. The mirror is not hung on the wall yet because Mike and I are still having a debate about whether or not to get a TV. I don't want a TV, Mike does. I want that mirror. And then we've got our plants, throw the gorgeous cushions I got for Christmas from Mike on here, which initially I didn't like them on the sofas because of the kind of contrast with the navy, but at the moment I like them. The walls are super bare, and they need something on them. I have yet to find the perfect thing, so I don't want to make any holes in these nice newly decorated walls until I found the right thing. If anyone has any suggestions, please let me know. We need something big for there, something smaller for here, and then I also really want to put either maybe like a console table and a mirror there, and a little like armchair in the corner. But yeah, the homely end of the kitchen is not there yet, but we're getting there. But the kitchen end is there. In terms of blinds, actually, they are on order at the moment. We've literally just got plain linen blinds going in, and yeah, it's really nice to be able to be doing those like final bits, because it has been a long journey to get here. It's something we started kind of planning and kind of dreaming about when we first moved in 3 years ago, and it's been a lot of work to kind of get it into place. And I didn't have a project manager or anything either, so I was kind of working out when all the builders needed to be here and when the plumber needed to be here and when all of that. And yeah, it was a learning curve for me, but we did it, and I'm very happy. Yeah, I love it. It's my dream kitchen, it really is. And oh, the bar stools as well. On a final note, the bar stools are from Graham and Green. We debated so much about where to get bar stools from because I wanted kind of upholstered ones. I couldn't find the right ones. I ended up going for these because I like the colour. Actually, they look amazing. I really like them. And then they're on the more affordable end for bar stools as well. And They look really nice. They're not the most comfortable, however. That is it for this video. Can't believe it. I'm gonna go make myself a coffee and sit and just be and relax about the fact that there are